All right, well, it's my pleasure to introduce the next section on AI and semiconductors. And what would it be if not another bad joke from me? So, why did the AI break up with the semiconductor? Because it couldn't handle the mixed signal. Just pity my husband right there. He has to live with me, guys. All right, so it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Magnus Berman to deliver the opening remarks for this section. Magnus is the founding and general partner of Luminar Ventures, a 65 million seed stage venture capital firm in Sweden, investing in Nordic early stage companies. And with 20 years of experiences as an entrepreneur and investor, I could go on, but just highlighting some of your wonderful companies, Prezi, Truecaller, SoundTap, Karma, and he even has a PhD from Toulouse. So there you go.
Thank you for that introduction. You can switch to the next. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about AI in the Nordics and open up to talk a little bit how has the Nordic performed. I think that could be interesting. Is it a good place to develop innovative technologies? I think so. But this is our team at Luminar. As mentioned, we're early stage. Fund is run by former entrepreneurs and operators. We have 45 companies in total in our two portfolios, with backgrounds from like Klarna, from Truecaller, and so on, as was mentioned. Why the Nordics? Why is it so interesting? We're going to talk about AI, but why in the Nordics? I'm also board member of a network called Nordic Venture Network. We are Nordic funds, and not all of them, some of them, and including like Northzone, Creandum, even on Iceland, of course, like Crowberry, Frumtech. So we have a good set of funds, but not all of the funds. And just to mention a bit on the performance, we have measured that performance in the group from year 2000. And as you can see on the top, it's a very strong performance. Not the last year, this is 2023 data. But below there you see how Nasdaq 100 has performed, so it's around 13% annual returns, and the Nordic venture index is just below 20%. So it has given 10 billion euros in profits, of which half of it has been returned. And it's only a part of the sort of Nordic ecosystem. So it's super strong, I would say, financially system. And why is because you have great entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. And so if we look on, like in Finland, you have a super strong, now emerging in defense tech, they have deep tech, they have gaming. Sweden is very broad industrial network as well, so there's a lot going on in many different sectors, including like fintech. Actually, 3 of the highest valued startups in Europe are Swedish. It's Spotify and Klarna on the first and the third place, Revolut on the second. Denmark super strong on SaaS, in general AI, also fintech. And Norway in sustainability, we have 2 sustainability companies there. And also in general AI, I think you saw the deck match presentation. So yeah, it's a super strong system for innovation, I think, performing in par with Silicon Valley, as you all know, in Israel. I think those are the top 3 environments. So it's super promising for the future, and what's happening now is actually quite transformative. I mean, we have had half of our investments, our B2B investments, like to the right there, global software market. So that's 0.7 trillion. But what we're doing now is we're not replacing software anymore. We're replacing work. And work is yeah, white collar work is from World Economic Forum. Global white collar is 20 trillion, and in general the global labor market in total is 50 trillion. So that's what the companies that we are funding now, they are replacing, like the patent lawyer. Their work is being replaced by software. So it's more like, so SaaS is dead, right? This is dead, but now you will have service as a software, and that's much bigger, obviously, than just looking at having something to help workers and make their work more efficient. We're talking about former panel here. You really want to automate things, and that's where everything is going. It's going to be automated. Doctors are going to be automated. Everything's going to be automated in the end, and then of course what will we humans do? I think we need to figure that out. But it's a very big transition, and as I mentioned, we've seen in applied AI, we see several companies emerging really quickly, and it's changing the landscape. I think we will discuss this in the panel. But we see that the sort of Series A, the bigger funds, they're coming down to our early stage, and they're investing into really big rounds, like for Tandem Health. That was a seed round, but it was almost a $10 million seed round, and that's way too big for us. So we are sort of, so we're seeing that motion, that the bigger funds are coming down, and so we, as a fund, we have to step up a bit and invest more, like more pre-A to participate. We also then have to balance that by maybe stepping into doing a bit earlier pre-seed investment. So it's the seed. So it's not only that SaaS is dead, also seed is dead in a way. It's been split up into pre-A and then pre-seed more. That's how it looks like, but we'll discuss this more in a bit. Yeah, and we even have created a separate venture for the early investments. Like when the founders are at the foundation stage, we invest super early, small checks, $250K up to 500, and that is our opportunity to participate. It will be super risky, but we'll do many more, and that's how our business has changed, and the landscape has changed. We have to take a bit more risk to be able to participate in these rounds with the best founders. I think that's my sort of start on the discussion.
So let's thank Magnus. And maybe I can invite you to sit down then, since you're on the panel, and I'll invite our panel to come up and introduce our moderator. So this panel is on investment strategies in AI and semiconductor sectors. We have a wonderful moderator. I'm not biased at all. It's my colleague, Alex Burgo, who's the Director of Innovation Norway in Silicon Valley. This is our bank for entrepreneurs in Norway. It's $1 billion annual US in budget for grants and loans. Alex himself, he's a seasoned entrepreneur and raised capital here in the Valley. He holds a PhD that focused on building models of future merging human and AI forecasts. So very good background to moderate this panel. And shall I also read out your panelists?
Yes.
Perfect. So we have Magnus Bergman, who you've met, and we have Lu Zhang, founder and managing partner at Fusion Fund, Natalia Barina, venture partner at Storm Ventures, and Shankar Shadran, partner at Walden Catalyst. Join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Thank you so much all for being here. My job is to stay out of you guys' way when you start embarking on the journey of talking about how you invest. Maybe we can do a quick round and introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about what you're focusing on in your firms today. And maybe if you have an example of an investment you did recently, and if it happens to be a Norwegian company like Valor or something like that, you can also talk about that. But maybe Shankar, would you like to start?
Happy to. Thanks for having me, Alex. You guys can hear me, yeah? It's okay. My name is Shankar. I'm a partner at Walden Catalyst. I'll speak a little bit about the fund. Walden is roughly a 45-year-old firm. Our newest fund was raised a couple of years back. It's Walden Catalyst Ventures. I'm one of 7 partners in the fund. Historically, we've always been a deep tech VC fund, which essentially means a breakthrough in science and technology as being the seed of a company. And that's what we've done. It used to be that 20 years ago, over 80% of what we did was semiconductors. Now, today, 100% of what we do is AI related, but of that, roughly 40% is still semiconductors. So that's our roots. But in terms of dollars, 40% is semiconductors. The rest of it is infrastructure, software infrastructure related to AI. So that's what we do. More and more in the last maybe a couple of years, or maybe even, I want to say 3 or 4 years, a lot of our work has been around thinking about impediments for enterprises to adopt AI, and if those would be opportunities to build startups that can be successful to help them succeed. So that's the area where we spend a lot of time on and investing in companies. So thank you.
Awesome. Natalia, you want to continue?
Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Natalia Barina, and I am a venture partner at Storm Ventures. Venture is actually pretty new for me. I've spent 20 years of my career building and scaling AI products at massive scale. So, for example, at Meta, I led AI teams. I managed a large portfolio of AI products and technologies. Actually, one of the things I led were teams around responsible AI, AI privacy, and AI transparency. And so predominantly my background is just building AI at massive scale, where a company like Meta, you're very fortunate to have the data, the infrastructure, and really the right algos, which are the 3 main components of AI. So since that time, I'm now focusing on very early stage AI investments that are specifically B2B SaaS. And by early, we'll go anywhere from incubation to Series A, where there's product market fit. Product market fit for us is anywhere between $0.5 to $3 million in ARR, significant usage, and hopefully enough excitement about the company that there are referrals. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here and talk about enterprise, B2B SaaS, and AI in general.
Nice.
Great.
Thank you. Lou?
Thank you. Very glad to be here. I'm Lou. I'm the founder and managing partner of Fusion Fund. We've been investing in United States, mainly across US and Canada, for early stage startups since 2015, mainly focused on 3 verticals. Enterprise AI, healthcare, and industrial automation is a fancy name for deep tech, because we're going to talk about semiconductor today. So we started in 2015, Fund 1, and now we're investing out from our Fund 4. Total AUM is a little bit over $500 million, and we're doing seed, pre-seed to Series A. And my personal background, I was originally from Inner Mongolia and came to US as immigrant student, Stanford Material Science. That's the reason I have a strong passion for semiconductor, love and hate relationship, did lots of research there. And later I became an entrepreneur. So I do share your life, your kind of life journey. This morning I was talking with a group of the founder. I'm like, I know you have a miserable life. I was there, but it's gonna be a rewarding journey. So I went through that myself, eventually sold my company, got good financial return, which also become the foundation of our culture in Silicon Valley. It's not only me, the whole team I recruit in Fusion Fund, we're all former entrepreneur, operator, and a technologist. So we really want to be the long-term partners for the founder, and we specifically like to work with the immigrant founder and the founder with global perspective.
Nice. Magnus?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned a few things in my introduction, but we are applied AI, obviously, and we're not the only one now. I think most of the VC system is going down that route. But we also have a bit of a superpower, at least in Sweden. We have the professor's exception, that the professors at the university, they have the rights to their research, the IP rights to it. It's not the university itself, and it's unique in the world. And that gives us access to some super interesting, actually brings research scientists to Sweden, coming to Sweden, and brings access to some interesting work in like foundation models, also in for AI. Also, so we have some super interesting research going on there, and also in sustainability, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of new innovation coming, and it's coming from universities. So that's super important. I think it's a bit unique in the Swedish system, at least.
Nice.
But we'll try to explore it.
Nice. I was looking at when you're doing your presentation, we're looking at the kind of going from the software sector into replacing work. You're attacking or kind of helping grow a $50 trillion market, right? I've seen statistics from PwC saying that the next 9 years, AI will create 10x whatever in the internet is created of value in its entire lifetime. How do you, when your funds, how do you differentiate between kind of the fleeting innovations and the deeper, like really solid innovations? Are there specific key metrics that you're looking from companies? Are there specific sectors that you're focusing on? What indices are you looking at? Maybe you could start.
Yeah, what we love is obviously like healthcare. Like globally, healthcare is like 8 trillion. And if you can make that more efficient by 15%, which I'm sure you can, it's $1 trillion bet you're making. So that and that obviously it's more difficult, but the price is there, and we're trying to figure out where are the big markets. But even smaller markets, like for example patents or financial analysis, may be quite enough to be a VC case. So that's the beauty of it. I think there's so many opportunities.
Nice. Lou, do you have a perspective on?
Yeah, so we invest in also a different vertical, and you're right. Now, especially with VC, with AI as a buzzword, there are lots of things that looks very shiny, but not necessarily it's a sustainable business or even venture-backable business. Internally, we always discuss now within AI, we also need to identify the true opportunity that the company not necessarily become a cash flow, but also become $1 billion opportunity in the future, and also has sustainable profit model. Because many AI companies, they're getting users by losing money. I didn't see that gonna go long. And within healthcare specifically, I'm very passionate about healthcare. My personal company before I started Fusion was a healthcare company. We're using machine learning more than 10 years ago. So I think essentially no matter it's using machine learning, reinforcement learning, or Gen AI, besides the model, another really key part is whether founders have access to high quality data. That's not only for healthcare, for all different industries. If you have access to high quality industry data, the quality of the data matters more than the quantity of the data to fine tune the model. The model could be smaller size, which is cheaper, and also easy to deploy. More importantly, the future of AI is AI on the edge devices to make it possible. Another thing is domain expertise is still important. Think about the fine-tuning, inference, and that's all relate back to how much founders really know the industry. We're in Silicon Valley, so there's always a discussion about whose model is better, the performance, the reasoning result. But on the other side, if you talk to the customer, a large corporate, they're not necessarily go with the model who is like the best. They also need to think about compliance security reason. They need to think about how to handle their internal data. They also need to think about how to integrate with their existing workforce. You couldn't just jump in saying that we're gonna disrupt everything. So lots of things came together, making more complicated due diligence item instead of just that you have the best AI, we're gonna invest in you.
Nice.
When I talk to companies, I think one of the really important things is that they can articulate a very clear vision that explains how they go after a really big problem. And when we think about AI is kind of like this big wave of innovation. What we want to do is we want to find founders who metaphorically are surfers and can surf that wave. They understand how to build product. They understand how the technology. And by the way, there's still a pretty big gap between all of the advancements that are happening in research and what researchers know and understand, and the actual productization of that technology. And so, not something I expected having gone to the VC world, but oftentimes I see people who are highly technical, they're amazing and they understand how the technology works, but they're actually missing the go-to market. So it's really about having a team that has the right combination of skills. And again, remember, I'm talking from the perspective of somebody who invests in B2B SaaS. So we don't really care about the vertical. We don't care, what is the specific. As long as it's B2B SaaS, that's what we want. And so having the right team that can articulate that vision, the big problem, and knowing, and they have to know, what is the right initial pain point for the customer to go after. We're in for startups, I think they're in a very lucky place where there is tremendous demand in the enterprise. Everyone, all the big companies want to buy AI, so it's easy to get in, but it's actually quite hard to prove that the business will be sustainable, and that's what is still to be proven. And there's already been some companies that have floundered on that part. But yeah, it's an amazing time. It's an exciting time, and there's just so much more to come. And yeah, I feel very lucky to be here and in this particular job.
Nice. Shankar?
I would break it into perhaps three things. In our firm, the 7 partners get together every other month or so, and we talk about thematically what are the big areas where we should be investing time in. And we break it up amongst the 7 partners, and sometimes there's overlap, sometimes we do it together. But we really take a deep dive and think about what are the big issues. For example, today, I think there's a handful of issues, right, with enterprises widely deploying AI. One of which could be just the quality and the accuracy of AI output, right? And that is a big problem. So how do you evaluate? How do you make sure? How do you measure? How do you make sure that what you put out is going to work the way it's intended to? So that's one theme. A second theme could be AI is just too expensive, right? So by some accounts, only about 15% of the costs associated with it is related to the model, right? The rest of the 85% is related to a whole bunch of other things that you have to do to get this to work. And it's super expensive for people to deploy. Sure, you can argue that productivity is going to be amazing, but today the upfront costs are pretty high in order to do that. So that's another problem, right? One can argue that fundamentally there's a data bias, right? There's PII data, so the data has to be secure. So that is another big problem. One can also argue that once you deploy LLMs, it is a new surface of attack for cybersecurity, right? Because LLMs can be hijacked. It can do data poisoning. You can do prompt injections. You can do a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm just giving you examples of themes, right? Once we decide on what are the big themes, then we actually read papers. We actually go into academia. We spend a lot of time reading research and understanding who are the principal investigators really doing groundbreaking research. I'll give you a couple of examples. A company called Opaque Systems, we are co-investors with Tehi. The professors there were out of UC Berkeley, Ion Stoica, and Raluca Di Popa, right? They were just fantastic professors who had done some groundbreaking research related to confidential compute. And we co-invested with Storm, and we started that company with them and helped them create it. One more example, the company is in stealth mode, so I'll talk about it a little bit. It's a company called Virtue AI. It's a company that was built by Bo Lee and Sanmi, 2 professors, one from University of Illinois, the other one from Stanford. Basically, they're cybersecurity experts, and they wrote an NSA paper, which is a seminal paper in cybersecurity-related issues for LLM. We've just invested in the company a couple of weeks ago. That's another example, right? So we go really deep and really early to find such ideas. The third thing is, by definition, the academics they haven't built a whole bunch of companies, even though some have. So we really think about company building, right? We go in and bring in the people in our network, put them around the academics, and we try to figure out if this could actually work. A lot of times it doesn't, but sometimes it does. And that is where the magic is, right? And we really try to make that happen. And that 3-step approach has generally worked well for us.
Nice. I mean, this alludes to a lot of the stuff that Magnus was pointing to in terms of going earlier. I've also seen now the investment trends seems to be by forking, right? Like you have AI companies that are valued way higher and maybe later stage funds coming in earlier. Does that make you go into even founding the companies then?
Absolutely, and we've done that. We've repeatedly done that. In fact, it's more true when it comes to semiconductors than the AI. So sure, AI companies, I think, for example, the recent company I talked about, Virtue AI, that we invested in, they had a ton of interest. So other VCs are also reading papers like we are, right? They're really going deep into the academia to find ideas. But when it comes to semiconductors, we invested in a company called Rivas. It's one of our really high-flying companies in our portfolio. They're an NVIDIA competitor, right? And they basically build fundamental systems on semiconductor that can basically deploy AI at a much larger scale and a faster scale, right? So that company, we had to bring together a syndicate for seed and Series A, and the very first round in the company was 30 million and 100 people.
Yeah.
Right? That is not the kind of seed startups that one would likely think about, because semiconductors is a much larger capital outlay. It's likely that it'll be a $500, $600 million all in before it makes any money. Right? So you really can be faint-hearted to go into that, right? You have to have a syndicate that can do a $30 to $40 million seed stage to actually get a company like that started.
Nice. Do you see the same thing when you do kind of deep tech, that you have to go and be much more active because the development process and horizon is so long?
I think, yes, one thing is, as you mentioned, that no matter it's capital intensive, I'll taking longer time for commercialization, which is true for lots of deep tech company. But on the other side, I think not necessarily means that they need more hand-holding. Depends on which type of founder you're working with. We do work with a lot of founders who are repeating successful founder, and the founder already came in with a strong partnership from the industry. So although, yeah, we had an expectation it may take over a year for them to have the initial pilot program, but we'll also be able to continue getting the positive feedback from the industry. I just, sometimes I have a deep tech background, so I just don't like people sometimes call deep tech as a hard tech. It make people feel like, oh, I'm so scared. Hardware is hard. Otherwise, why we didn't call it easyware, right? Based on my professor from Stanford. But on the other side, the good thing is now with AI, I feel new opportunity is even for some founder purely build an AI enterprise solution. Their customer may have a more complex or outdated infrastructure, require founder to understand how to do software hardware integration. And we talk so many times about data, the importance of the data. Where is the entrance of the data? It's a hardware sensor. Even within healthcare, recently we were talking about what is a new opportunity within healthcare is we need some type of new sensor, new hardware, be able to collecting the data, like a microbiome data, other biomarker we're not able to collect in the past. That will help us do better diagnostic digital therapeutics. So I think the importance of the hardware, of the deep tech, of the semiconductor, I think is getting more recognized by the industry. And meanwhile, with the help of AI, hopefully we could make the workflow more efficiently and faster to commercialization for some of the deep tech company.
Oh, nice. But Natalia, do you think that the deep tech then is one of the reasons why you got attracted to and the industry got attracted to you and your background?
Well, for me, it was I think now there are more and more people who understand how to build AI products, but the reason was really that I've built so many AI products and been able to scale them. And so in a lot of of course, not to say, building in a big company is a completely different game than building in a startup. But I was able to see how that works and how to build AI products. I think there's still a lot of room for people to learn that. There's also a lot of room. There's the deep tech, and you think about the stack. There's the semiconductors, there's the models, there's the MLOps. We really believe that a lot of opportunity lies on top in the app layer, and that's what we are really going after. And the big trend is that all of the deep tech is really going to enable everything to be faster and cheaper. And that's happening. It's kind of like we're in the early days of the internet, right? You can't build Instagram if you can't download your photo quickly, right? So we're at that point with AI. Things need to get cheaper and faster, and then a lot of the value is going to accrue on top in the top layer of apps, which is really where we look at.
Magnus, maybe we can, from the Nordic perspective, come in with a little bit of talking about how much cheaper the companies from the Nordics are in terms of the initial investment that you have to do. But you guys have quite a few deeper tech companies in your portfolio.
Yeah, we do. We're a generalist investor. I myself have a PhD, so I have to sort of come back to my roots a bit. But we always then co-invest with deep tech investors. So if we do something in quantum, we would share that round with a quantum investor. If we do something in like deep tech sustainability, the same thing, that we think it's super important to have someone along that understands the process, and we also have to sort of adapt to the longer time to do market.
Nice. I mean, so with this pace, do you have general advice to companies then on how they present themselves to you to get attention, right? Because a lot of this is, I sent them an email, but it's hard to get in touch. And like, how do you raise your flag and say, hey, we're awesome, we're doing this, you guys got to look at us? Like, maybe anybody?
I think one tried and tested method is get referred in, I think, right? So if Alex, you were to say, Shankar, could you please take a look at this company? I absolutely would. The reason is we get bombarded by a lot of stuff, right? And you know the kind of ideas that we engage with, and I think there's a little bit of a referred in, qualified lead, if you would, to use a sales term, that really works. But the other thing I would also say is just because we, the 7 partners in my fund, we tend to gravitate towards that breakthrough idea, right? When it comes to science and technology, related breakthrough, and we are less focused on the vertical or less focused on the app side where we partner with Storm and other investors, but we are much more on the infrastructure side. If you can really articulate why this is such an incredible innovation and why it's possible that you can build a great company on top of that, that actually really resonates earlier on. And then we would spend a lot of time with you to figure out, okay, can we really build a company out of this?
Yes. Natalia, do you have a perspective on this?
Yeah, I think, so referral, perfect. I think the second thing I would add is make sure you are pitching to the right VC. So we don't invest in consumer companies. We probably, I get random pitches that are just not a fit for what we do. So again, like I look at early stage AI, B2B, SaaS companies, and that's our sweet spot. That's the second thing. And then when pitching, again, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, make sure you explain clearly what is the problem and what is the big opportunity. VCs want to invest in things that are going to get really big, and they want to invest in something where it's the right time for that idea. There's a lot of examples of companies that were the right idea, but they were not at the right time. So those are the things we want to see. Make sure, if you can get a warm introduction, 2, make sure it's a fit for the firm, and really demonstrate clearly the initial pain point and the big vision. And of course, why you're a fit for it, why you're the right person, why you have the domain expertise, because team, especially in very, very early companies, is just it's a crucial part of the everything. It's the reason we invest. So we have to have the right team, the right people who can execute.
Nice.
Yeah. I think because we mentioned about referral, sometimes founder always assume that I need to get investor referral in order to knock the door of the VC. Not necessary. For example, if it's a referral through one of the founder in our portfolio, our founders I know, good founder knows good founder. That's also coming with a strong credibility. Sometimes for some first-time founder, if you don't know a lot of VC, you may already know lots of the good founders in your network could help you with a referral. Even for cold outreach, we got tons of cold outreach every single day. So really switch the position. Think about if you're an investor, you got hundreds of emails, which email going to catch your attention first? The email with very clear bullet points with a highlighted metrics and also with some very clear insights gonna catch your attention instead of writing a super long email, try to present everything for the first impression, right? And also another thing to follow what Natalia was mentioning about which part is really matters when you're talking to the investor, especially today we're talking about both AI and semiconductor. For example, some founder came to us mentioning about they're doing something related to chip, AI chip. Then one thing they really need to think it through is investor will for sure ask you, what do you think about competitive landscape? Existing player, how do you think about your technology versus NVIDIA, AMD, whether you're competing with them, you're complementary to them, what is the ecosystem looks like. That understanding of the overall market map is very critical. Not only just for you to talk to investor, but also think back. Semiconductor is now easy, but there's lots of new opportunity come up. There's lots of issue, for example, energy consumption, GPU consumption, edge computing. We won't be able to solve all these challenges of AI all by software layer. There will be lots of innovation has to happen in the hardware layer, in the chip layer, in the semiconductor approach, how to address the right opportunity instead of just going to the fancy AI chip buzzword and turns out to be, okay, everyone claims they can be better than NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is better than themselves every single month.
Nice. Do you see a difference between what happens here then in Scandinavia?
In terms of deal flow, you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
deal flow, but also
yeah.
due diligence, how they contact you.
I mean, we're using AI stack pretty heavily on our own, actually. So I think we see we're using all types of tools, automating, signaling when founders are leaving and interesting companies and start up their own. And obviously in the Nordics, the company data is very much open, so we can see cap tables and we can follow certain angels. And so I think we see most of the companies. Then obviously, as you said, it's a challenge to sort of motivate. Why? I mean, we as a generalist investor, we have experience, created several unicorns, and so we're very commercial. So that could be a really good complement with some other fund that's sort of deep tech, science-based fund. So they have the best of two worlds. I think that's what we're trying to sell in, obviously. But
nice. So looking ahead, I think we still have a few minutes. I'm just neglecting that thing. We got what? 2 minutes. Oh, 2 minutes. Let me go to the final then. So I'm dropping that page, but okay. One final thought, if you can. How does that company really impress you? Where does it get you excited? Like this is a company we really need to. Is that like a sort of a long relationship building exercise, or is it something that just get like when I drink too much coffee in the morning and I go like, oh my goodness, right? Like what does it take for somebody to really impress you? Maybe you could start at Magnus.
yeah, I mean, it happens. It's like either it could be like someone addressing a really big market and they're really revolutionizing it, and it's a super strong team, and you just feel. I mean, it comes very quickly. It's not like you need to hang out for a long time. You just see it, and also sometimes when there is something like deep research. That if this works, then we have 1000x of what we're doing, and then you get super excited, and you can't just let it go, and you're willing, and that's what VC venture is for. I think that's super important that we take those risks. Obviously, we have to sort of mitigate all the risks we can see and identify, but that's it happens very quickly. I think much faster than maybe many think that you see it.
Nice. Yeah. Lou?
To build on top of that, I think on one side, of course, for the investor, we're all technical background. The exciting technology always brought you up, and I don't drink coffee, so my team always curious, like how I stay alert. I'm like, just have founder meeting in the early morning. Then you got an exciting idea, you woke up directly. So I think there's a different part, like the team, the vision, the market, everything come together. But I feel after we say so many, like thousands of a company every year, sometimes it's also come back to like a matchmaking. So I think that's a good signal for founder. Also do, per Natalia said, do some research on the investor you're talking to. Yeah. And if they are, for example, we publish research report on our website on the sector we're passionate about, on the sector we're looking for a good founder to work on. And if we talk to a founder that exactly fitting to the type of technology we're looking for, we got exciting. We're like, okay, we just researched this market. It's a humongous opportunity, and we're looking for the right people to be able to address it. And here you come. That's the magic moment happen, and also be able to quickly connecting the dot and move forward from there.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. I think there's three things that the team communicates what they're doing with clarity. So there's this really nice saying that I like. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Boil down all the hard stuff that you're doing to something really simple and easy to understand for us, because we just are completely inundated with people and opportunities all the time. So make it really clear what you're building. 2, make sure it's the right big problem, big vision. It's something ambitious and bold. And then 3, tell us how you're the right people to solve this problem, why you have the domain expertise, and how you've done things before to really show that you can execute. To me, those are the 3 components of a really good company that comes and pitches and that's convincing.
Shankar, you can take it home.
Thank you. So I think there's, for our firm, the collective wisdom is there's a bunch of table stakes. Right? By that I mean, you have a great vision, you're going after a big market, you're doing something disruptive, you have the chance to be a leader if you execute well, and you have the right ingredients of how you might compete against the competitors, right? So those are all table stakes. But the one thing that really tips it over for us is we ask the question, how could we help the company? Right? And for us, that's a big deal, which is, I think, I'll be honest and say that VCs can only help in a handful of ways, right? We call ourselves company builders, et cetera, but if I really boil it down to a few things, I think we can help with perhaps the strategy, because we've seen a lot of companies over the last 40 years, and we kind of know how the movie might end, right, if you go in a certain way. We can probably help build syndicates, right? We have good relationships with others, and I think capital is key, right? And that's how you compete. We probably have good relationships in a lot of existing companies where we can get people to go join your company, so we can help with recruiting, right? And perhaps we can help with M&A, right? Because you can potentially help sell the company at some point. So we ask ourselves, can we really do those things with this company? And if we think that we can make a difference beyond the table stakes, we will then say, okay, let's do this. It's worth our time, right? Because there's so many other companies that comes by and looks really, really interesting, a shiny object flying past us, which may be very successful. But if we can't really help the company, we simply don't engage, because we want to do something meaningful as an investor.
Please join me in thanking the panel. Oh. Are we sitting? Okay, can we just sit? Oh.
And now I'll invite our panel to stay, if you wouldn't mind, and we're going to have our last round of Nordic pitches within the AI sector and semiconductors. So, first up.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Every minute spent searching on legal insight is a minute away from strategy. What if you can get the right insight instantly just by asking? Edilex, Finland's largest legal database, partnered with us for pioneering AI-driven insight, because lawyers waste hours searching instead of advising, costing billable hours and even lost cases. And unlike the generic AI models, our AI assistant was trained with deep legal expertise, delivering results and answers that lawyers can trust. And while we did build this for the legal world, the same AI-driven efficiency applies anywhere: healthcare, VC decision-making, finance, you name it. Whenever there's too much data and not enough insight, we can transform the game. At Vincit, we're a group of software and AI experts, and we've helped startups to scale into unicorns, and we are ready to transform AI into revenue for you. So for more insights, please visit our booth, and we're happy to have a conversation how we can help you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm representing CodeScene. We are like a vacuum cleaner for dirty source code. Why would you need that? Well, it's a $1 trillion problem. Companies today waste 40% of developers' time due to technical debt. It's a big, big drain on developer productivity, and yet it's about to get worse. With AI, companies generate more source code than ever before of an unknown quality. It's AI-induced technical debt. But don't worry, CodeScene fixes technical debt so that enterprises can adopt AI in software reliably. Unlike our competition, we are a deep tech company protected by patents and validated by research. We are a SaaS company looking to talk to investors, so please visit our booth and see how we can improve large language models in coding with up to 5x. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. So Hydram Research is developing megawatt-scale industrial equipment that will dramatically improve the efficiency of thermal-intensive processes. So think data centers, chemical companies, petroleum refining, pulp and paper, etc. It does so by capturing waste heat, which would otherwise just have been emitted to the atmosphere or poured down the drain, and convert it naturally into energized steam. So if you're running, for instance, a data center with submerged cooling, our equipment takes that cooling fluid hot, returns it cold with electricity. To solve this Rubik's Cube, we've actually developed a new method of boiling water. I am not kidding. So we're based out of Iceland, fantastic engineering team, bunch of patents. We're not racing, but we are still meeting investors and academia, as well as operating companies in these sectors, our future customers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marty, and please be honest now, and raise your hand if you're gonna forget my name by the end of this presentation. All right. So we're building something so you never forget an important detail again. And this is Fieldy, a wearable AI note taker for busy people just like you. We've sold so far 7,000 units. We've done around $1 million in revenue, and we did that profitably and in a year. We recently closed our pre-seed round, but we'll do another one in Q3 or Q4. So 2025 for us is about growth, it's about scaling, and it's about winning. So we're looking for the best people and the best partners to work together and kick some ass. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our panel and our startups. And I think I might need that technology because I have already forgotten your name, so apologies for that. But I have a treat. Thank you so much. So we have a treat for you right now before our break. We have an author who's going to just briefly present his book on Supercharge Your Life with AI. It's Rickard Steiber. If you can come to the stage.
Hello, everyone. So for the break and for the cocktail hour, I want to change your lives for the better. So to empower that, I am going to give you all an audiobook. So if we can have that slide that shows the QR code. There will also be QR codes in the reception area, but please scan the code and you'll get the audiobook. But essentially, my name is Rickard Steiber, came over with Google many years ago, been launching virtual reality, streaming music, esports, self-driving cars, and most recently I've been working with AI avatars. So this book, I think we all know that AI is going to change the world, change our businesses, change everything. But this book is about you. It's about your personal life. It's how AI can help you improve your health, your family relationships, how you learn things, how you deal with money, and of course, how you become more productive. But it's for those of you who are parents, how can AI help you stay meaningful for your kids? Do you have problems in your relationships? Do you want to spice up the bedroom? How can AI be an effective wingman or winggirl to you? So please check out the book, Supercharge Your Life, and learn more about AI. Thank you very much.